how business will change, what people can do and should do during this self-isolation.
What do you do when you have a crisis? When you're going through the crisis, it's like a storm in the weather. Crisis is the testing time of the leader. When you deal with a crisis, that's how you demonstrate your true character. All we think about is how can we help increase your income 10 times. I'm now going to share some of my very best ideas with you and with our friends who are watching this video.
So it's not just entertainment, it's it's life advices.
Okay, let's go.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Gennady.
I'm really so happy to be with you now. I mean, of course, there is social distancing and internet, but you are with me now. And I'm extremely pleased because there are some things which we missed during this self-isolation. And I miss terribly our offline dinners and the offline seminars.
Oh, right behind you. Who is this? This me. Is that
oh,
you?
That's you, and there is Alan, and there are some people. I just made this. There is Schwarzenegger, and there is who else? Joe Vitale, and Martin Lindstrom, and John Kehoe. I don't know if you know him. So some people. I started doing that. I have much more. And Michael Tracy, actually, I have a picture. I didn't put it into the frame, so he'll be on this wall as well. So. Yeah, it's something which, I don't know, maybe it's too early to do that, but it gives me a feeling of backing that I have my life behind me. And you, of course, and there are several pictures of us together. Yeah.
What people do is they call this the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
This is your Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
These are all the people, and you are an equal with us, so it's very good.
And in fact, I calculated that we've known each other for almost 15 years. Can you imagine? 15 years. And we've done about 100 seminars together.
Really?
Yeah. But since the environment conditions put us into such situation, then I think we still can communicate and still can share our love and friendship and ideas online. I'm excited because it's not just, talk, it's something which I'd like to share among my viewers. And how are you, my dear? How are you feeling?
I am getting better and better. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm sure that everything which you do, it's enjoyable and not just enjoyable. So it's not just entertainment. It's it's life advices. And that's one of the reasons why really I would like to pick up your brains. What do you feel about, trivial thing, about coronavirus. By the way, just want to mention that I'd like to start with a joke. It's my kind of homemade thing that the more we stay at home, the more we look homeless. And I like that. And today, to be honest, I've done a remarkable thing. I almost killed myself by shaving because I was having a beard like that. So no, I remember once you said that even when people cannot see you, but if you are professional, if you dress up properly, if you're groomed, then it reflects in your voice, in your tone of your voice, etc. And so you have to be really professional. So I thought, damn, and I cut this bloody thing off, and I feel really excellent. So
you look excellent.
Thank you very much. I'd like really to hear your opinion. First of all, your trivial question, but your attitude to coronavirus. I don't want to go into theories because there are so many conspiracy stuff and theories, and it's globalization is turning into divide and rule by some whatever. I don't believe into that. I think it's really true. It could be cooked up by someone who, just took all these poor, rats and then sold it on this fresh market. And I don't know, but
I don't talk about anything.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We're talking about what we have, how business will change, what people can do and should do during this self-isolation, and how it all really, because I know that you've written a lot about crisis management and reinventing business model. And I remember you were saying that every 40 days, proper businesses, they have one, sort of crises.
Well, thank you. I began speaking in 1981, and very soon I began speaking on management and leadership. And one of the subjects that people wanted to know about is, what do you do when you have a crisis? And so I began to study crisis management. And I found that there was a lot of material on the subject, but there was not one source. So I wrote a book on crisis management with years of experience, years of reading, and it's got 21 ideas that you can use to deal with a crisis. And as you and I were talking about a couple of minutes ago, they say that every manager or business owner has a crisis every 2 or 3 months, that if they do not deal with the crisis effectively, the crisis will destroy their business. So therefore, Peter Drucker was wonderful about this. He said that the crisis is the testing time of the leader. He said the only thing that is inevitable in the life of the leader is the crisis. He said everybody can deal with life if everything is going well, but when the crisis comes, which is inevitable, it's unavoidable, it comes unexpectedly. When you deal with the crisis, that's how you demonstrate your true character. And so I've been giving crisis management seminars because of the coronavirus all over the world. I'm here, as you can see, in my den, my office at home, and I am giving this crisis management seminar to hundreds and even thousands of people. So I'm now going to share some of my very best ideas with you and with our friends who are watching this video.
Thank you very much, Brian, because people are really scared, confused, baffled, and it's because it has never been anything like that before, right? So there was no precedent out of which people can draw some lessons. The way crisis is, we know financial crises, et cetera, but there was never a crisis like that, which would basically made all countries in the world involved, and all of them are suffering because of that.
Yes. Well, as we say, the crisis is unexpected and inevitable. It's unavoidable. The only part of the equation that you can control is how you react or respond to a crisis.
Exactly.
It's interesting. Zig Ziglar used to say, what is the difference between reacting and responding? Well, if you take a drug and your body reacts to the drug, it means that it has a bad result. If your body responds to the drug, it means that your body takes the drug and uses it to heal. So basically what we have found, they did a study, and a very famous historian studied the 26 great civilizations of history. And he wrote a book on it called the March of Civilization. He won a Nobel Prize for it. It was an amazing study. He found that every civilization went through a cycle, and it started off as a small civilization, a small tribe, a small group of people, and then they had a crisis. They had an attack from outside forces, they had a crisis of weather or a drought, and they had to respond to this crisis effectively, or they would be eliminated, wiped out. And so if they did respond effectively to the crisis, they would grow. But the point is that, and this is why he got a Nobel Prize. They said that the most important single factor was your response ability, your ability to respond effectively in the face of a crisis. So today, we are being challenged by the need to respond effectively.
And I remember you were saying that every 40 days, proper businesses, they have one, sort of crises. But
Yes.
This is something which is unique and scary, and really magnitude is incredible. I mean, I still cannot comprehend even that the whole world, it never happened in the history of mankind. At such huge disruption of life on this planet. So what do you think?
The most important quality of a leader is flexibility. They did a study on this in the 1990s. What is the most important quality for success as a manager or a leader? And they said in a time of rapid change, it is flexibility, your ability to change, to try something new and different instead of sitting there. 80% of people will go back to their comfort zone and they'll sit there and they'll complain. So we say, number one, stay calm. Number two, get the facts. This is so important. Get the facts, not the wished for facts or hoped for facts or possible facts, but get the facts. Do your homework. Do your research. What exactly has happened? How do you know that this has happened? In the news today, there are many stories about how the virus occurred and what is happening and what is going to happen. And I study this every day. I watch the news. I watch different experts talking. And we're finding that many of the things that they say are not true. Many of the things are false. And they're getting more and more new information. They're finding that the coronavirus is not as serious as they thought, that the coronavirus is actually passing through. And of course, people are dying, but more people die from car crashes.
Right.
More people die from falling in the bathtub.
Or from ordinary flu. There are millions and millions of dying from
ordinary flu. So therefore, people are overreacting and they're becoming upset. What we have to do is we have to stay calm and get the facts and ask questions. And remember, facts have to be tested. How do we know that this is true? How can we test it? And then what we have to do is we have to accept responsibility for our situation in life. I told you earlier that I've written a book on crisis management. And in crisis management, there's 21 techniques. And this book is available in 20 or 30 languages, including all the European languages and Russian and Ukrainian and so on. It's a very good book. And it's just a series of ideas. Do this, don't do that, ask questions. But the most important thing is accept responsibility. Don't blame other people. Don't become angry at other people for something that nobody can change. There's all kinds of people and they talk about conspiracies. All of this will eventually come out and the answers will come, but there's nothing you can do about it. Exactly. So therefore, don't worry about it. Worry about only those things that you can do personally. So what can you do personally? And in business, it's really simple. The secret to success in business is high sales. The reason for failure in business is low sales. So your job is to find new and different and better ways to go through this crisis and to generate revenues of some kind. And one thing I've taught for years is never become upset about something you can't change. And this is something you can't change. You can only respond effectively and say, all right, what do I do now? So I've been teaching crisis management techniques with regard to the coronavirus all over the world now from my office. And I would love to share some ideas with you and with your friends.
All right, wonderful. So what do you think, yes, response, what kind of response do you think managers or leaders have to have, apart from kind of very general that yes, never give up, etc., but what do you think leaders or managers or CEOs of the companies which found themselves without markets, which found themselves in isolation, which found themselves that they are idling. I mean, the machinery are not working, factories are not working, nothing is working, no supplies, no demand. What do you do?
Well, there is a saying that there is one sentence that is always true for all people at all time throughout all of history. And the sentence is, this too shall pass. In other words, this crisis will pass. Right. When you're going through the crisis, it's like a storm in the weather. Mm-hmm. You're a ship at sea, and the storm is threatening to capsize your ship. But it will pass, and the sea will be calm again. So what I do is I start off by teaching this. What is the most important factor in your life that determines your success, your income, what is the highest paid and most important work that you do as a leader or manager? And the answer is thinking. Thinking is the most important thing that you do. Just like in an aircraft, you have computer technology that determines the direction of the aircraft. You, as an individual, have a computer here that determines the direction of your life. And the reason is because of consequences. Is the most important factor are the consequences of your thinking. And if you think well, you have good consequences and you will succeed. So what we do is we say, all right, start off thinking. So what is it that top leaders do? Is they think better than average people, and they take the time to think. So I teach several little techniques. Number one is to stay calm. When you are confronted with a crisis of any kind, and it may be a crisis where you are stuck in traffic or your car breaks down on your way to a very important meeting, and you can't get to the meeting, and the meeting is very important. That's a little crisis. And so today we have a big crisis, but we still need the same ways of thinking. And the number one way is to stay calm. And this is something you and I have talked about for years, is take a deep breath and stay calm in the face of a crisis. And if you stay calm, then you think clearly. If you stay calm, then you make better decisions, take better actions. So it's really important that you take a deep breath and you stay calm. What I've discovered in my teaching is that it is fear that causes us to become upset and angry. And so what you have to do is take a deep breath and realize that this will pass and not worry. Don't worry about the fear, because it will go past and it'll go back to normal.
And maybe not to read mass media that much, which generates this fear, because I think what bleeds sells, as you know, and it's so much really negativity. I think for one good news, there are 10 of terrible things and death and then and no. And I'm sure it's partly because it's just profitable, you know, to scare people. It sells better.
There is a natural tendency of many people to what is called catastrophize, which means to think, what is the worst thing that can happen in this situation? And that is a good way of thinking. And you stand back and you say, well, what is the worst thing that can happen? And you think about it. And then you say, if the worst thing were to happen, what would I do? What action would I take? There was a very successful businessman many years ago. And whenever his company had a crisis, he would immediately say, that's good. And then say, now let's find out what is good about this situation. There are many things that people have been planning to do, changes they want to make, subjects that they want to study in their life and business. And now they have time to do it. And so instead of becoming upset and angry, take a deep breath and stay calm and look for the good. What is it that is good about this situation? And here's a great story. I call it the walk across the street method of thinking. Again, this is something that leaders do. Is imagine that you come to work. And by the way, this happened to Thomas Edison, when Thomas Edison was the greatest inventor. And he came to work one day and his entire laboratory, filled with experiments and notes, had burned to the ground.
Down. Yes, I know.
Yes. And he phoned his wife and he said, you've got to come here quickly and see this. And the wife came and the fire was still going on. He said, this is wonderful. And she said, how can you say that? He says, because all of our experiments, all of our plans are burned up and we can start brand new. We are not held back by the past. So there's a technique for everyone to use on a regular basis. They say you should use this technique every 6 months. And it's called the walk across the street technique. And so you imagine you come to work one day and your company has burned to the ground and all of your staff are safe and they're in the parking lot watching the business burn to the ground. And fortunately, there is an office or building across the street, and it's available. So you can actually walk across the street and start your business over again. If this situation occurred, what would you do? Is what products or services would you immediately start to produce? What customers would you immediately contact? What would you not do anything about? What products and services would you no longer offer? And what you do is you imagine starting over again. And you do this on a regular basis. Imagine your business burnt to the ground and you're starting over. Here's another thing that I teach is, why are you in business in the first place? And my answer is to help people to improve their lives and work. This is why you are in business. How do we earn our income? Is we help other people to improve their lives and work. And as a result, we're paid for that. We create value, and we create so much value that they give us a little bit of the value that we create. In my speaking and teaching, I've written 86 books. I've produced more than 1,000 audio and video programs. I have a company with 32 people in it that all work delivering my materials online. Is all we think about is how can we help increase your income 10 times. So my point is that everyone watching this is on commission. We get paid a percentage of the value that we create for other people. So during this time of the coronavirus and all of your life, you keep asking, how can I create value for other people? How can I bring in results and rewards for other people, so much so that they will pay me a percentage of the value that I create for them? And that's what you and I have done over the years, is we have designed seminars and workshops that give people much more value in terms of increased income, increased sales, increased profits. We do this all the time, all over Europe, and people pay us happily because the value they get from us is much greater than the amount that we charge them to attend our seminars and workshops. So everybody today who is on Zoom, everybody who's at home has to keep asking, how can I create value for my customers? How can I offer them information and ideas that will give them value vastly in excess, much greater than the amount that I charge? And this requires a new business model. This requires that you stop and change and you think, what can I do differently that I've never done before? So this is how I think. This is how you think. This is how many people need to think.
Yes, absolutely right. And maybe say I could, if I may add something, that sometimes giving without charging is like, there are short terms profit may be neglected, but long profits in the long run, in terms of creating your brand, your other people. I know that you've done a lot of free seminars and you've done a lot of free stuff to people and give advice very generously to millions of people, and it comes back. It maybe doesn't come from them directly or someone directly, but it comes anyway. So the world is round, as they say. So I fully agree. Yes, yeah.
Well, there is a law called the law of indirect effort that says that we get most of our rewards not directly but indirectly. Is we don't get our rewards by directly trying to get them, but by helping other people indirectly, we receive our rewards. And I have a saying that runs my business. It is that the more of yourself that you give away without expectation of reward, the more that will come back to you from the most unexpected sources.
Right.
I learned many years ago from a spiritual teacher that the law of cause and effect is a law. It's a spiritual law. And it says that whatever you put in, you'll get back. Is when you contribute to the well-being of others, you will be rewarded, and much more than your contribution. Now, this is what the spiritual teacher said, and I never forgot it. He said, the only part of this equation, cause and effect, that you can control is putting in. You can only control how much you donate or contribute of yourself to others. The coming back, the results and rewards are automatic. And you cannot control them, and you do not know where they will come from. But we know that if you control what you can control, which is helping other people to improve their lives, then somehow from unexpected directions, your rewards will come back, and they'll be much greater than what you put in. And so this is something for people today to remember, is that you can control the input. You can think, what knowledge and skills do I have that I can contribute to others that can help them now or in the future greatly in excess of the amount of time and effort that they put in. And then all you think about is helping others. All you think about is contributing, and everything else will take care of itself. It's the most amazing discovery, maybe the most amazing discovery in human history.
Yeah, absolutely right. To be honest, I didn't believe in that when I was 20, maybe 30, but now when I'm, more than I'm going to be 63, I do believe in that now, very seriously. I do believe that when you give, you get. And it's vice versa is true as well. If you do damage, if you're evil, you get your punishment, maybe not directly, but somehow, because everything in this planet, in this universe is really connected.
Yes.
And so we'd better be careful, butterfly effect. We'd better be careful. We have to give more, and then we'll get more.
Yes.
Brian, I cannot, I would like to talk with you, and I would like to talk with a glass of wine, red wine, but unfortunately we cannot do that, and I know that you're busy. So I'd like to thank you, really thank you very much for your time, for the pleasure of being in your company, even on the screen. You're my dear friend for the last, I think, 15 years. You're my mentor, and I do hope that we'll be working together in the future, maybe in different format, or maybe hopefully you'll come in October, and we'll see each other, and we'll go to some nice restaurant and have a good chat, or maybe go for a swim. If you remember, we did that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Gennady. It's so good to see you and talk to you.
Thank you very much, Brian.
And remember those wonderful words, this too shall pass. So this coronavirus will pass, and things will go back to what they call a new normal. It will be normal, but it will be different than it was before.
And it will be better.
Yes, and it will be better. And this is a test. It's like you go to school and you take an examination at the end of the class. Well, this is the school of life. And right now we're going through an examination, a test in the school of life. And how you respond in this test is going to decide how successful you are in the future. So don't worry about it. Just say, what can I learn from this situation? What are the valuable lessons that I can learn from this? What is it that I can do differently that will improve my life and work and the life and work of other people starting today? So always think about the good. Always think about the lesson you can learn. Always think about how you can contribute to other people. And if you'll do that, you will have a wonderful life. You will go through this crisis without any problems at all. And you'll come out the other side, and you'll be stronger and better than ever before.
Wonderful conclusion, Brian. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.